again, viewers, and welcome back to another episode of Sessions with Koren. I hope you're having a good week so far. Last week, we talked about holistic wellness, and I know you enjoyed the conversation because I got your feedback. We looked at the benefits of eating well, we looked at movement and nature, and how we could eat well even on a budget. Also, we committed to taking at least 15 minutes a day for our own self-care. Well, guess what? I was successful in that. I made sure that every single day I took out 15 minutes to exercise, and I actually increased my water intake. So I hope you also had some success with being healthy for the week so far. Today we have a very interesting topic for you. We'll be looking at overcoming personal obstacles in our lives. There's none of us who haven't had personal obstacles. And our guest today is someone who had a really tough time as a child and as a teenager, and now she's working really, really hard to rebuild her life. She will be sharing her personal story with us, and I hope it's a story that will inspire you. Stay tuned, and I will see you, and you'll meet our special guest right after the break. Welcome back, and I'm so pleased that you decided to spend your time with us today. In studio with me is a very special young lady, someone who's very strong and resilient. I would like to welcome Shantel Bartley. Shantel is a mother of two, and tonight she'll be sharing with us her very inspiring story of overcoming a lot of difficult parts of her childhood. Shantel, welcome to the studio tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, it's a pleasure. How are you doing today?
I'm okay.
You doing okay?
Yes.
All right, so would you like to share with us a little bit of what your childhood was like?
Well, it was very tough growing up. Very hard. I did a lot of crying.
Okay.
Yes.
What were some of the things that made it tough and hard for you?
Well, the most rough situation about my childhood was being molested by a family member, a close family member that was supposed to care and protect me. And as a result of that, I have a child who I have to look at every day and be reminded of what happened.
Okay, I'm sorry, very sorry to hear what happened to you. Unfortunately, that happens a lot around the world, and it's not good. And I'm glad that you're able to share your story with others. What kind of support did you receive when you were going through this?
Well, I had counseling. I got counseling from Gender Affairs. Yeah, and welfare offers their assistance most times.
And the counseling helped?
Yes, it helped. I was going through a very rough patch around 15, 16, 17. Yeah, that was very dark.
Okay. And before 15, 16, when you were in primary school, were you having the same situation happen to you?
Yes, the whole situation actually started when I was 6.
When you were 6?
Yeah, sometimes when I sleep, I have, I dream about what would happen sometimes. And the dream only stopped after I had my son. So it's a good thing that it stopped, because I used to wake up in the night and sit down and cry and stuff like that. Yeah. So it started when I was 6, and throughout primary school, yeah.
Okay. Did anybody notice anything? Any adults around you?
Surprisingly, no. None of my teachers suspected anything, I think, which was a bit weird. During primary school was my most troubling time.
Troubling in what way?
I was always in trouble.
Okay, so you were sort of like acting out.
Yes, looking for attention. And yeah, that parent was very much involved in school, so I'm not sure why it wasn't picked up on, but it wasn't.
Okay, okay. But what would you say to teachers now who are teaching primary school students in terms of what to observe in children?
To look out for every behavior. If it's too good, there's something there. Behavior cannot be too good, and it can't be that bad. Look for something in both ways.
Okay.
Investigate, even though the parents don't want you to. Because sometimes the parents will say everything is all right, and it's not. It's not all right.
Okay. So you don't think that the authorities should just take the word of parents?
No, they should not. And sometimes, as children, you know, they want to tell you what is going on, and then they come out and tell you, and then based on what they're hearing, they recant on the story. Don't take their word for it. Don't take the back word. Investigate. And they need to actually do some investigation, you know, active investigation, because I don't know what went wrong in my childhood. Because I was by them people since I was 11. And something only happened when I was 17, 15, 16, 17. They put me in the home, and then something actively happened when I was 17. And that was too long. I'm now 25.
Yeah, that's too long.
And still waiting for a solution to this problem that I have for so long.
So for 6 years, for 6 long years, you had to suffer and endure that without anyone paying attention to how you were acting out or how you were feeling.
Yeah. And I feel like, even though as an adult, with the whole situation, I still feel like there's nothing being done about it.
Okay.
I try to follow up with it, and I don't know why it's taking so long, but I feel like there will be no justice. You know, it's just gonna fade like every other situation that happens.
Oh my, that would be a pity. Who did you eventually get the courage to speak with?
Well, in school, I was 11. Well, I'm of the opinion that she suspected something was wrong, because she was the one who came and spoke to me, and I just couldn't keep it in anymore. I just spoke to her.
Okay.
She was my counselor in secondary school.
Okay. And there were no counselors in primary, but in secondary you had counselors.
Jermaine, yes.
Okay. All right. And as a mother, now that you're a mother and you have a daughter and a son, how do you feel like you can protect them?
Keep them away from certain people that I might suspect, or listen to them when they speak. Yeah.
And how do you provide a safe home for them?
Well, growing up, I was always left with my father. No, I leave them with my sister. I don't leave them around a male figure.
Okay. So regardless of who the male is?
No, they're not going to stay there.
Whether it's family, not family, you don't leave them around males?
No, I leave them with my sister. Okay. And I make sure I call, and my daughter has the phone, so I call her too and see if everything is okay.
Okay. And what advice do you have for children? Let's just say there's a teenager who's listening to us right now. What advice would you have for a teenager who's going through a similar situation?
I would tell him to speak up, but sometimes speaking up is not the problem, it's who you speak to. Because you speak up, and if you're not speaking to the right person, what you just said it because there are words to be said, nothing is going to be done about it.
Okay.
So they need to find the right person to talk to.
And who would you consider to be the right person?
At this present moment, I would say the police, but welfare, get a counselor.
Okay.
Welfare is better,
Okay.
in my opinion.
And now welfare has been renamed. So for the purpose of viewers, Family and Social Services Department, it's the same place.
Yeah.
Yes, and the Directorate of Gender Affairs you mentioned is also very helpful.
Yeah.
Yes. You know what, I'd like to ask you a question. You know, we listen to your story and it's very painful. It's very painful as a female. I don't have children, but as an aunt. What about your personality you think helped you to survive? I see your shirt talks about victorious and beautiful and amazing. What characteristics inside of you, Shantel, helped you to survive?
Well, to be honest, the fact that I had the child and I have to look after her,
Yes.
or else what if it's gonna come from me too as a parent,
Okay.
is what motivated me. And then I went on to have my son, and then I've got kids. So you just gotta do what I gotta do.
Okay. So as a parent now you have to just step right into it.
Yeah.
You don't have time to always sit
No.
and think about your own feelings.
Yeah.
Yes. Does it still affect you though?
Sometimes,
Okay.
yes. I just visit a dark spot sometimes. And when that happens, I think my sister recognizes it and, you know, give me some time from kids.
All right. It sounds like your sister is a great support system.
Yes.
So shout out to her.
Yes. Yep.
What do you need right now, though, to make your life for you and your children better?
Well, I'm working on getting a stable job. I would suggest, I'm not a Christian. I'm not gonna come here and be a hypocrite. But I would suggest that they go to church. I turn to church and it gives me a peace of mind sometimes.
Okay. So you take your children to church?
Yes.
All right.
Sometimes I go and sometimes I don't. But yeah,
Okay.
they go. But I go when I really, really need help.
Well, the good thing about a spiritual life is that you don't always have to be in a church building.
Yeah,
So that there are lessons you can teach them at home.
that's true.
What do you tell them, though, in terms of protecting them? Because when you have young children, you kind of want to protect them, but at the same time, you don't want to give too much information. What do you actually say to them in terms of how to manage with adults and what situations to feel safe in?
Well, I tell them if anything happens, tell mommy.
Okay.
And sometimes I don't say anything. I say, how was your day? Or what happened today? And they just go ranting about everything that happened. And you just sit down and listen. And if
Okay.
you listen close enough, if anything wrong goes wrong, they will just say it without realizing that they are complaining.
Okay, that's a good approach because sometimes we scare them
Yeah.
if we start going into too much deep stuff.
And then if you say things, whatever is said sometimes could be taken out of context.
Okay.
So you just ask them a question or two and they would just talk.
And that's when you have a relationship with your children, though.
That's true.
So you have to have that relationship where you speak to them on a regular basis, so it's easy for them to come and
just-
say,
yeah, what happened.
yes. Because what happens with some parents, when children go and tell them things, the children feel blamed.
Yeah, that's true.
And so you have to be very careful. So you have that relationship with your children.
Yeah, that's true.
In terms of the authorities, any advice in terms of what they can do differently?
More investigation.
More?
I think what happened is that I came through and I told them what happened. And then I was coerced into saying differently. And I came back with a different story. And I think the two different story, they didn't know which one to believe at the time when I was 11. So they just need to do a lot more investigation. Even though another story comes about, just investigate still.
Yes, yes,
Because
yes.
I feel like even though a DNA test had to be done to come back where we started at 11, and that didn't happen until I was 21, I feel like all those years that passed, something else could have been done.
Okay. Did you experience any depression?
Yes, yes, yes. But the counseling helped. I went counseling and sat down and crying, and after a while I felt like myself again.
Okay. And now you're doing okay, but the memories
Yes.
still come from time to time.
Yes, sometimes. Not as frequent as it used to. Like I said, I feel like I got amnesia after my son was born because I forget things.
You forget things?
Yeah, sometimes. And I just kind of forgot most of what happened as a child because normally when I sleep, I used to remember them before I
Yes.
had him, and then after I had him, I just don't remember them vividly like that anymore.
Sometimes people block things. That's one of the things
maybe
about
that's
trauma.
what I did. Maybe
Yeah,
that's
when
what I
something
did.
is painful and a lot, sometimes we just literally just block it out of our mind because it's too much to carry every day. You know, so I can understand. And you seem to be doing all right. I'm very proud of you for that. And happy to hear that you're doing okay in spite of the things that you went through. Any other advice that you want to share with young persons, parents? Anything else you want to share?
Life is hard.
Okay.
It's going to be hard. Whether you have a situation that is different from mine, everybody's situation is different. You just have to be strong and do what you have to do.
Okay. And any backlash? Because if you're reporting a family member, sometimes your other person is trying to tell you not to.
Yes. Yes. And nobody will be on your side. Because growing up, after I said what I said, I had no family members, none whatsoever. I felt like they didn't believe me. And so I was alone. And then I found an aunt that believed me. And before the DNA test, she died. So I felt like right now I have nobody to believe me, but there's an uncle coming around. So I don't know. You know, parents sometimes portray themselves as the best parents to everyone else. So when a child says something that is least expected, they're going to say it's not true because the parents have a different picture out there.
Okay. And that's the thing about it. And that's one of the things we want to share with viewers also. Listen to children when they share their story. If for some reason the story changes after, still investigate the first story because chances are that person could have been coerced to change their story.
That's true.
And just because an adult speaks well or is charming or says the right thing, does that mean that person is not capable of hurting someone else?
That's true.
So it's always important to investigate. Parents, have a relationship with your children. That also is important based on Shantel's story. Listen to them. Allow them to come and tell you things and to be open and ask questions as much as possible. And the other thing, Shantel, this talk about teaching children about good touch and bad touch.
Yeah.
Is that
true.
something you endorse or support?
Yeah, but I prefer to listen to her. I tell her, I've been telling her since she was small, so she knows what is good touch and what is bad touch. But instead of saying things, because people have this way of saying things and then the children just automatically take up what they say. So I don't say anything. I just ask questions and listen. And if I hear something that I shouldn't hear, I go to the person that she said did it.
Okay. So you investigate right away?
Yes, without actually saying anything to her before she realized, you know, that this is what is happening.
Are there any songs, any scripture, any stories, anything that inspire you?
No, the smile on my kids' faces.
The smile on your kids' faces,
Yes.
okay. That's really important. Look, Shantel, your story has been very inspirational. I want to thank you for sharing. It's a deeply personal story. But if it can change the life of one young person, it would have been worth it.
That's true.
Sometimes we tend to hide things when we don't see them as positive.
That's true.
And that's one of the problems in society. We hide a lot. We don't put things out there. And so the secrecy keeps there's a cycle of secrecy.
That's true.
And so it's really, really important that you were able to share your story to help others. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes. Well. I have a mystery question for you. The person who came before you left a question. So I'm going to ask you this question, put you on the spot, and see how you'll answer. So the mystery question for you today, Shantel, is what job did you dream of doing when you were growing up, and why?
Oh, I dreamed of being a doctor.
A doctor?
Yes.
Okay.
I wanted to help people when I was small. And then I saw blood after I went to the clinic and the hospital, and so I'm afraid to put the needle in somebody else's hand.
Okay.
So it's still I want to be a doctor, but the fact that I had to go draw blood bothers me.
Wow.
So I'm
You
I'm
can't
not
be a
certain.
doctor.
I'm not certain I still can be.
You can't be a doctor and not deal with blood.
That's true.
Yes. So I hope you can find your dream someday, even if there's another one or the same one.
Yeah.
I hope your dreams can come true. Keep dreaming, keep hoping. And I love that beautiful picture. Amazing, beautiful. What are the ones I missed? Chosen, victorious, strong. So I know that you're not going to feel that way all the time. But whenever you have the down feelings, just think back about what you've been through and the fact that these children need you and you need you.
Yeah, that's true.
So all the best to you in your journey, and thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Welcome back. Welcome back. We just heard a very inspiring story. It was very painful to start, but we're grateful that Shantel is recovering from what would have been a very terrible time. And all the support that she receives will be so beneficial. Recovering from abuse can be a challenging journey. If you or a young person you know is on this journey, here are 5 tips that I hope you will find helpful. The first one, reach out for professional help. Seeking professional assistance from a therapist, a counselor, or some support organization specializing in trauma and abuse is really helpful. Professional guidance provides a safe space for you to express your feelings, understand the impact of abuse, and develop coping mechanisms for healing. Number 2, build a support system. Surround yourself with a supportive network of friends, family, or trusted individuals who understand and respect your journey. Share your experiences with those you trust and don't hesitate to lean on them for emotional support. Having a strong support system is really crucial for emotional healing. Number 3, establish boundaries. Learning to set and enforce healthy boundaries is such an important aspect of recovery. Identify and communicate your limits, both emotionally and physically. This will ensure a sense of safety and control. Number 4, educate yourself on the dynamics of abuse. Understanding the different forms of abuse and the impact it can have on you can be empowering. Knowledge is such an important tool in breaking the cycle of abuse and in gaining insights into your own recovery. There are educational resources like books, YouTube videos, and even support groups which can provide valuable information. And number 5, celebrate progress and practice patience. Recovery is a gradual process, and it's essential to acknowledge and celebrate even small victories along the way. Set realistic goals for yourself and recognize the progress that you make. Be patient with yourself. Healing takes time, and every step forward is a testament to your strength. Remember, my dears, you are not alone in your journey, and there is support available. So if you or someone you know is in immediate danger, please contact the local authorities, contact emergency services, or a helpline dedicated to supporting survivors of abuse. Thank you so much. Time now for your golden nugget. You are not what happens to you. You are who you choose to become. You might have had a rough childhood. You might have had a rough youth. But don't let any abuse you have felt cripple you. You deserve to seek healing and happiness so you can regain your strength. You can grow and live a life of happiness. Well, my friends, we have come to the end of this episode of Sessions with Koren. It was a pleasure having you with us. Please check out our past episodes on YouTube and send in your questions and comments. See you next week, and I'm always grateful to you for watching. Thank you so much. All the best.